Hello, Daryl here. The channel is Programming in Any Language. The supporting website is programminginanylanguage.com or black-duck.com. They both take you to the same place. And it's a place where you'll find the videos and PDFs of the code. The video is the this reference variable. The fields in the constructor of a class have names. If you place this in front of any variable in your class methods, it makes a reference to the field in the constructor. What does that mean? Our applications are often using the set and get methods of our classes. When we want to pass data to a class field, we use the set and we pass the data in a parameter of our class call. In the class method itself, the data is captured in a parameter variable of that method. The name of that variable could be anything. It's best to make that name something that relates to the field in the constructor. The this keyword allows us to actually name it the same as the field in the constructor. The this keyword simply means this object field in the constructor. Grasping this concept becomes clear when we see it in action. And the thing is, you don't have to do this. This is simply a technique that allows programmers to use the same name when referring to data coming from a class from the outside. You've all seen the exit routine on most of these forms. We'll see a this.close. It'll close the current form. And I believe when we talked about multiple forms a while back, I did show you how you can use the this parameter to talk about different objects on different forms. And on the current form that you're sitting on, you simply use this represents the name of the form, and so on down the line. We're going to go a little further this time and use this inside classes. And in this case, we can use the this variable or the this keyword to reference itself in classes. So let's take a look. This is all going to be about the this reference variables that we're actually going to be talking about here. The this keyword is a reference variable that an object can use to refer to itself. It is available to all non-state methods. The two classes below are functionally identical. Notice that the one on the right uses the this parameter, and essentially line 13 states this object ID field, and line 14 states this object name field. We're talking about those particular things. So otherwise, they're identical. The this reference can be used to overcome shadowing and allow a parameter to have the same name as the field. In this case, we have the expresso class. Nothing fancy here, but if we set this thing up with set methods, we can do something with it. Right now, programmers tend to set things up like this, but if we needed to actually go ahead and expand on this thing, we could make some changes to it. When creating class methods, finding a parameter name different from the field, yet still meaningful, can sometimes be a challenge. You look in here, we've got brand parameter, we're going to call it, model parameter, price parameter. We're moving it into the model piece right in here. And that works. It's no problem. We've changed our get expressive data to use the set brand, set model, and set price to bring these things in. And then we actually move it into the brand, model, and price, which are reflected in the constructor. We can go a little further than that, make it a little simpler by using the same name. To alleviate that problem, programmers give parameters the same name as the field to which they correspond, and then use the this keyword to refer to different names. So we're looking at the same thing here. We got text brand, text set brand, set model, and set price is right down here. And this time we're using string brand. And brand is going to be equal to this brand. So this brand refers to the fields that belong to this class. So this brand is going to be equal to whatever's coming in, whatever name this happens to be. And since we don't know what name it's going to be, or we don't have a large choice of names sometimes, using the same one works just fine. Let's go through that process a bit. We've got this expression machine data in our brand and model. We've seen this before. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to go into the class period. And right now, of course, it does things. It works just fine. As you can see, we can put in KitchenAid, FS7 or 9 or whatever the heck it is, and $10.99 for the price, and create the object, and bang, it comes up just fine. This works just beautifully. Now, let's change this a little bit. Let's go ahead and create methods for the string brand and price. Before we do that, we're going to go into the expressive class here and actually do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place those methods right here. What we've got here is we've got a set brand and a set model and a set price parameter. And we're going to call it brand parameter in this case. Make brand parameter equal to brand. So we're going to bring that in. We have to go into the form itself and make a change there as well. And we do that by taking the machine brand, text brand name here, and changing this to set. Set brand, txt brand.text, and shift that. And this needs to be machine set brand. And we've got it in place there. We do the same thing here. Set model. And then we do the same thing with this decimal price piece right down here. And now what we have is we were actually calling the methods for that particular piece. And let's take a look at this thing. Do a file save all. Do a run. And KitchenAid works fine. FS7, 8, whatever, 1099. And we get the same results. But let's take a look and see how this actually works. I'm going to go to my form here. And I want to go ahead and change that start position to be center screen. Then I'm going to go into the form here, and in this button create, I'm going to go ahead and put a breakpoint in here so we actually stop and can follow this thing through. So let's take a look at this and see how it runs now. If we go ahead and look at this, we put in our KitchenAid, FS7, 1099, and go ahead and create the object. That stops us dead, so we're stopping at this particular piece right here. What I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and hit our F11 key, or actually just this thing right here, and step through it. If I step through this thing, you can see it jump to the new Espresso. It's going to create the Espresso object in line 44. It's then going to jump to that paragraph where it's going to go to the public Espresso, and we're going to actually end up setting all this kind of stuff. You can see our brand parameter has nothing in it at this point in time. So we're going to, in fact, let's go ahead and add a watch. Same with model parameter, price parameter. And let's go ahead and take our brand too and give that a watch. Model and price. We can see them over here. Now as we step through this thing, it jumps down and creates the brand, model, and price as 0 in the constructor. And we can see on the right here, they're set to null, null, and 0. As we move through, it jumps down to our Espresso, new Espresso, gets on that, and we're going to go and get Espresso data, my Espresso. So the class has been created. We're then going to jump down, and it's going to go ahead and take our brand and use our set brand command. And it's going to jump out to the parameter, set brand parameter. And as we go through this thing, the brand parameter ends up getting KitchenAid in it. As I step through it again, it goes to the model. Comes back to the class, to that particular method, and we're going to set the parameter for the parameter model. And look, we've already got KitchenAid sitting in the brand parameter. It's also sitting in the brand. We now have FS7 coming in the model parameter, and it's going to be put into the model piece right in here from this command. So as we go through this thing, it steps through, and we do the same thing with price. Going to go ahead and follow that thing through and execute that. So that actually does it for us and makes it all work nicely. And we should see it come up in a moment. As we step through, there's our brand, model, and price getting put into the labels. And we come out, and there's our finished product here. So that seems to work just fine. But you can see now how it works with the class itself. We're going to exit this out of this thing. And what I want to do is I want to do one more thing now. I'm going to go ahead and make a change. I'm going to go to our Espresso data. This thing worked just fine. But there's no reason why it has to say brand parameter. It can just say brand. And then this would have to say brand. Now this would also have to say this. So it references this guy up here. And we have no error. The same thing with model. We'll call it model. Model parameter is bad here, so we're going to get rid of that and call it model. We still have this little, tiny little mention here that same variable assigned to something else. Well, we're going to stick this in front of it, and there it is. But this goes in front of it, and we're, oops, it didn't go in front of it. Let's try it again. There we go. And now it's happy. And the same thing with price. Pop that in place. Pop it in place here. And then put the this in front of it. And now what you have the same name coming in, but you have the this parameter stating that it's going to go up into here. And this is going to work exactly the same way. Do a file save on this thing. Do a start. Do our KitchenAid. FS7. 8, whatever. 1099. Do our create object. It comes down to our button. We'll drop down through it using, since we were stopped on this thing, we'll create our Espresso class, My Espresso. It gets created. It goes through the class. It accepts and creates these particular brands so to nulls and 0. It now goes through and it goes to the Espresso, get Espresso data. It's going to go get the data from the screen. So it does that by going in and getting a machine set brand, and it uses that particular method to now take the brand and jump down in here. Well, we don't have this. You can see we have this model parameter in here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a class in here for this. Add watch. I want to do it with model as well. Add watch. And price as well. Add watch. We've got different things now in here. So we'll go ahead and pop it through. And brand gets created right now. So we can see KitchenAid is coming in there. And it's being assigned to the brand up on top. We're not going to go up and get the model. We jump through here. We bring in the model. And FS8 is in there. It's in both the brand and the brand. We're going to do the same thing with price. And the price is getting brought in as $10.99. This price gets popped in there. And it's up there. Now we can jump to our label and go ahead and create the form. There it is. All completed. So what we're doing here, as I exit out of this, is we're simply using a shortcut to make it a little easier to use the name that we're actually going to use when we're using a class like this. String brand is fine. You can bring it in and then talk about this brand being equal to this to bring it up into the constructor fields right up in here without having to make a change. Now, if you want to keep this thing as something different, the default parameter, brand parameter, model parameter, price parameter, whatever you want to call it, you can certainly keep on doing that. This is just a way of shortening things. You don't have to do this kind of thing, but it's a shortened way of actually using this parameter and making it work. As you already know, a constructor is called when an instance of a class is created. Using this keyword, you can call one constructor from another constructor in the same class. What are we talking about there? We've got a class here, or a form here, 1 and 2, basically. 2 different buttons are sitting there. And you can see the buttons are set up this way. Here's button 1, button 2 are sitting over here. And if you look at our class, we've got a constructor here that says public circle double R and radius equal to R. And we have a second constructor down here which has nothing in it. It has no parameters, but it has the this 1.0. What's happening here is if you don't send something to the circle, in other words, there's no R coming in from your calling program, which is what's happening here, it's going to go ahead and use the parameterless constructor first to bring in the 1.0, which is going to point up to this guy and make this happen. If you do put something in, like a 2, when it comes in, then it's going to simply use this constructor, and that's it. You can see here when we actually do the 1, there's nothing coming in. In this case, when the button 1 is clicked, no parameters pass the class. The second parameterless constructor is invoked and calls the first constructor, setting the parameter to 1.0. So that's exactly what's happening here. We click the 1 button, nothing's coming into the circle. when it tries to create the circle. And so our public circle, this comes in place. The this is replaced into the R here, and then this constructor is created, and you end up with a radius of R in there. It'll display that in the message box show. We'll see that in a moment. When button 2 is clicked, A2 is passed to class, and only the first constructor is invoked. So we're going to hit this, we're going to press this button right here, and the circle is going to pop up, and we're going to end up with this particular constructor executing first and only. And then it'll display the R here, and a message box will show what that is. So let's take a look at this. This is our simple little process right here. We've got our button 1, button 2, and you can see the form. We've got these message boxes here and the circles right in here. And we can make these things execute as well. So if we go ahead and do this kind of thing and just start it, our form comes up. And if I click on 1, we get a message box. The circle's radius is 1. Click OK on that. If I click the 2, the circle's radius is 2. So what's happening here? Let's try this by actually doing the breakpoint on here. I'm going to go ahead and jump out to our form, click it here, and click one here. Now let's run this. If I click on the 1, that's what stops. We go down here and we take a look, and we can see that creating the circle instance. It's jumping down to this parameter. Then it's jumping up to the public circle $R. R is sitting over here. We can probably go ahead and see what R is worth. Add a watch to this thing, and it's worth a 1. Go ahead and come out of this thing. And we end up with the display happening. The circle radius is 1. Click out of this. Now let's go ahead and continue. This time we're going to click the 2. Again, we go into a breakpoint. We'll step through the breakpoint. The 2 is getting passed. We look at a $R, we have a 2 up in there right now. Why do we have a 2 up in there? Because we passed it. It now goes down and sets the radius. It never uses, the parameterless constructor never gets used. And we end up creating this and showing it right here. The radius is 2. And that's all we have to show here on this thing. So that's all it does. What does this all mean? Well, if we take a look at another application, the contact class, where we have a name and an email address coming in, and a do it code here. We have a contact class. The first constructor accepts the name and an email address. So what's happening right here is we're going to see that if we hit the do it button, this guy right down here, we're going to check to see if the text has email in it or not, if email is null. If the email is null, we're going to go ahead and get a new contact text name. We're going to create this, passing only the text name. And then we'll show the message box of name and contact email. If it does have something in it, we're going to create the contact class with a text name and email being passed to it, and show the same thing again. So in the case of this, we can pop into the constructor up here where the name and email is sitting up here. If we don't have any email, we're going to end up with this no email on file getting passed up to the string email. And that's how it's actually going to work. The parameterless constructor is invoked when no email address is passed. So you can see the text name coming through. Our string name is going right up in here. And then the no email file is getting passed to the email address through this second constructor. So let's take a look at this in action. Here's our form with our name and our email address and our do it button and our code. And we can look at the code in the form here, and we can see this area right in here. We have the we're going to check to see if there's any email address in there. And if there is no email address, we're simply going to call the contact, create the new instance by only passing the name. And of course, our class is going to use the second constructor to bring this name, the no email on file, and pass it up into here. So our name and our email address are going to be popped into this so we can use the first constructor and have the thing completed. If, of course, we end up not passing both a name and an email address, we're going to grab them both, and we're going to set up the constructor again, and this time it's only going to be using the first part, and it'll show that way. So So this is more of a practical example of what we just saw before with the radius experiment, but this time we're going to see it kind of work differently, or more practically, I should say. Let's go ahead and start this thing. Okay, here is Daffy Duck. And his email address is ddduck@gmail.com. We'll do it, and it's got to get what we get. Daffy Duck, dduck@gmail.com comes up just fine. Now let's try Porky Pig. We don't know Porky Pig's email address, so we're going to jump down to the Do It button right here and click on this way. What comes up is Porky Pig, no email on file. It gets popped in there. So our second parameter is filling our data with both fields, the name field and the email field. Even if there is no email address, it's going to give us a meaningful information that there is no email on file. And that can be passed to a database or in a collection of whatever we're going to be doing. So as we're adding things, we find things that are not there, we can state it that we're not passing certain parameters because we don't have them, and let our program take care of what it's going to call it. In this case, no email on file. You can kind of see this if we had a larger contact screen with name, address, city, state, zip. And as long as you have apartment, nothing there, no apartment on file. Zip code, it could be 5 digits, could be a bunch of digits, could be a Canadian zip code, anything. But we can make things that are going to let our parameters fix what's actually going on and actually being stored in the database that we're working with. So basically, this is this in a nutshell. The different ways you can use the this parameter in classes, as well as many other things. You're going to see that this thing pop up from time to time in all kinds of things in C#. The biggest thing to take away from this video is the last example where we can use one constructor in a class to call another constructor in a class. Our example shows how you can use a parameterless constructor to fill missing parameters with meaningful data. Thanks for watching. Visit the website when you get a chance, and please subscribe to the channel. There's more stuff coming every week. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.